I'm EverSave, and you just stepped into Sims the Beginning, my Sims 4 world that's been growing, and breaking, but sometimes thriving since launch day, so it's a very, very old save. My forever save keeps picking up characters from the strangest places. This time it's a guy called Joe Gardner from Pixar's movie Soul. He's a jazz-loving music teacher, and I thought, why not? I want him. I want everything about him. I want his look and his story and his apartment and the aesthetic of the nightclub, and I'm getting ahead of myself. So, instead of dropping Joe Gardner in my save alone, I placed him with an existing household. I often do that. This is a household called the Old Rockstars. So Joe, he instantly have a family connection and actually a brother by his side. This household is built around Cass Rivers, the frontman and the true star of the band. Alongside him is Ali LeBlanc, who in my save becomes Joe's brother. Years ago, while on tour, the band found a baby left backstage with a note claiming the baby was Cass's son. They named him Jace. They raised him as part of the family, and now he's a young adult in my save. Background stories, very important for me, so now we're here. I just want to show you a picture from the Rockstars' youth, where they were on tour and were young and sexy. And over here, there's a picture of Cash and his son, Jace. And I'm even toying with the idea of rolling Jace back into childhood, together with some neighborhood kids who recently moved to San Marino, and sending them all to summer camp once Adventure at Wage drops. Joe isn't the same kind of natural-born talent as his brother. Instead, he's a music teacher who plays piano in his spare time. His dream is smaller, but it's just as heartfelt. In the film, he's invited to play with Dorothea Williams and her jazz band in a not-so-fancy club. And in my save, Dorothea will be there too. Part mentor, part band leader, and maybe even a love interest for Joe. Of course, Joe needs a stage. The nightclub is almost finished, and it's the kind of place where late night jazz, broken dreams, and maybe the occasional breakthrough can all happen. It's placed in a part of Newcrest where, it's not San Marino, it's the outskirts, and it's very run down, and it's absolutely beautiful, I think. To fit the story, I also built Joe a little apartment. It's messy, a bit cramped, but with a piano right in the middle, because that's what his life revolves around. And of course, heavily inspired by the movie. All of this, the old rockstar household and Joe and the bills and the stories, will be available to download on my Patreon. And actually, I think I will invite you to Speedy Speed Build here on YouTube, where you can see the art center coming to life. And remember, it's not an art center. It's going to be a music school as soon as Adventure at Wage drops. Hope you enjoyed this look into Joe Gardner's new life as Joe LeBlanc. See you in my EverSave.